Got your back. Whatever you guys need, we're here. We've got to keep Florida the safest state in the country to raise a family. It begins with these guys right here. But again, an illegal alien raped and trafficked a child. When you're thinking today, when you're praying today, just think about this victim. How many more people have to go through this? Thank you.
Thank you, General. All right, this time I'm going to open up for questions if anybody has any.
I'd like to know if the defendant in this case had a criminal history or was first arrested.
So, as far as we know, this was his first arrest.
What was his visa for and how long ago did it expire?
My understanding of the visa is it had expired 4 years ago, and it was a visa that allowed, it's a temporary work status, like a migrant seasonal visa. Yes, sir.
More have been done to try to find this man before he committed this crime?
Well, of course, and as the general said, I mean, this is one of those, it's a very easy but-for test. But for him not being here illegally, this victim would not be a victim again. But I think it's much more complex, and it's hard to, there's so many moving parts when it comes to illegal aliens and human smuggling and human trafficking, that yes, of course, some, more things could have been done. But if you're off the radar and no one's looking, which is I think what happened, you're kind of free to do what you want, and that's the kind of situation we have to stop.
You indicated there might be more victims of this man. Do you know how many might be out there?
I have an idea, but I prefer to not share it. I think the chief and I talked earlier about not giving too many details about what might come, but it was a fruitful investigation.
Still active, too.
Still active.
We're still active.
Yes, sir.
Can I say something, State Attorney?
Absolutely.
To the question before, should more have been done to get this guy? Yes, absolutely. We had a federal government that was arguing preemption, saying this is not the prerogative of states, this is the federal government's job, and we're just going to abdicate all responsibility and do nothing. That's not happening anymore. We are detaining, we're deporting, we're delivering for the American people now. We've got a federal government that's deputizing all of our state law enforcement. We're doing raids up and down the state. And the reality is you don't know which of these people is going to be that monster. You don't know. It's not just a little old lady on her way to church. That's what the left wants you to think. They want you to think this is about love and humanity. Today, this is not about love and humanity. This is a barbaric, horrific event. This can be described by nothing other than evil. This is evil. And that's why we, as law enforcement, we as a country, we have a duty to work together to enforce rule of law. And that means detain and deport.
Attorney General, just while you're up there, a couple of weeks ago, a bunch of sheriffs had a meeting and talked about in this immigration push, in this push to get people out, immigrants are being concentrated at some certain jails throughout the state, and those jails are now worried about their capacity. So I'm wondering if those concerns have been brought to your attention, if you're working with the governor, if you're working with ICE.
Yeah, thanks for the question. Yeah, look, we're going to have capacity concerns. Jails are filling up. We're also dealing with some regulations that require that certain people be housed in different areas. We're working with the federal government to address these things. We're looking at additional space, additional places for incarceration. We're working on a plan that we'll be presenting to the Immigration Board at the state level very soon, and we'll have some additional announcements. But for now, we can accommodate the people that we're detaining. We do need to find more bed space, and that'll be coming in short order.
What happened in the previous administration, or what's changed now that allows you guys that would have made a difference in this case, for instance? So you brought up more should have been done previously, but it seems like he wasn't on the radar for local law.
There have been dozens of cases over the recent past years under the Biden and Obama administrations where illegal immigrants commit these heinous crimes. They commit sexual assault, they commit murder, they commit these crimes on the elderly, on kids. And in many of these cases, when you look at the criminal record, these defendants were in and out of the criminal justice system. They would be handed over to the feds and let right back out the back door onto the streets, and they would reoffend again and again. That is not happening anymore. We didn't need new laws on the book. The Trump administration, they didn't need Congress to pass some new law. They just started enforcing law that is already on the books. So we're working hand in hand with Homeland Security and ICE. Florida's been leading the way. We've got more of these 287G certifications, which is a federal statutory authority that allows our state law enforcement to assist the federal government. And we're busting as many guys as we can. We'll keep working hard. We'll take advantage of every minute while we have a cooperative federal government that wants to enforce the law.
Attorney General, last year or 2 years ago, might not quite be on the human trafficking level, but there was a major investigation here in Lake County involving a big cockfighting ring that involved a number of illegal immigrants. The state, to our understanding, took that case over, and so far as we can tell, nothing has happened with that case. Has that something that's been on your radar? Do you have any updates on what happened?
I will have to look into the case. I'm here month 3 on the job, and you know, illegal immigration, human trafficking have certainly been top priorities. But I don't like the idea of cockfighting in the state. I don't, especially with egg prices today. I don't think we need to be supporting that type of activity. So I'll look into it, and we'll crack down. And if illegal immigrants are breaking the law, again, we will get them. We will find them. People like this guy we're talking about today, we will search every inch of this state to find you. And we will ensure that you go away for the rest of your life. And if we've got authority under state law to seek the death penalty, we will do so.
Chief Capri, I know you mentioned that you're not going to be talking much about the spin-off cases.
Yes, ma'am.
But I was wondering about if you have your eye on who might have abducted this girl initially. This guy seems like a client of some sort.
Well,
and how did she wind up in that situation?
it's an active investigation. Like I said, I can't comment on some other things moving forward, but sometimes you got to. These crimes sometimes are just not out there. You have to actually find them. We got lucky on this one, to be honest. We got really lucky. She called 911. We were able to find her and talk to her. But you know, it was luck initially, but then it was hard work to put it together. It was very complex. It's not. These cases are simple, but you got to make sure you have that investigated so it's airtight. I mean, like you said, it went to trial, and the jury deliberated for less than an hour and came back with a conviction. So zero tolerance for this type of activity. This is a sexual predator. And sexual offenders and sexual predators in your neighborhoods, we need to find these people and remove them and monitor them and make their life miserable and protect our kids. It's real simple. When you keep it simple like that, protect our kids from these barbaric, savage animals. And that's what they are.
I think the news release mentioned she was found at a market, or met this guy at a market.
I can't hear. I'm sorry. A market?
Yeah, the news release that got sent out yesterday mentioned that this woman said she was a girl.
Yes.
Met this guy at the market.
Yeah, it was a market, like a store that has like food. Yeah, food market. And a laundromat there, yeah. It doesn't matter where the location is. It could be anywhere. These things could happen anywhere, anywhere in our country. And we need to be able to, as law enforcement, take every allegation serious until you can prove it's not. So you got to follow through on all this stuff. And we do that. We whatever it costs, whatever it takes, we're going to protect our children. I can tell you that right now. That I can guarantee you.
Chief, you say you got lucky. What direction do you think this would have gone had you not gotten lucky?
Well, what if, you know, somebody calls 911, what if we just didn't run into her? What if we went to the call and we couldn't find anybody? So our guys just don't drive by at 30 miles an hour and say, oh, nothing here. We get out of the car, we investigate. It goes back to the individual officer dedicated to his community to make sure, I'm going to see this through and make sure that I clear this call, and was able to do some searching and found her and was able to take, are you okay? Yes, and ask the right questions and determine what, you know, do good police work to initially start the case. Then you bring the team in, detectives, other agencies, state attorney's office. Everybody, when we have a case like this, gets together immediately, and we start working it together. And that's something that doesn't happen in a lot of jurisdictions around the country or around the state. I can tell you here, everybody works like one team. There's no egos. Nobody cares who gets the credit. We want to get justice for our victims. We want to make sure people are safe in our communities. Lake County is probably by far one of the safest communities in the country. I can tell you right now. I see it every day. I've been in some rough places in this country. This is paradise here. It really is. And these citizens are blessed to have dedicated law enforcement officials and officers that just want to do nothing but protect their communities and make sure we're safe here. Any other questions?
Question.
Yeah.
How long has Gomez been in the Eustis and or Lake County area, and is there any indication of what brought him?
We don't know what brought him here. He's probably been here probably a couple of years. As you can see, a lot of the people have been coming across the border for years, the last 8 years, and how do you determine them? We're not in the, we don't stop people and ask them their status. We come across a case and we're going to investigate it.
But I mean,
Determine.
he was off the phone and all that. Was
Yeah.
there any indication on what brought him to Eustis and or Lake County?
I think it was for work, to be honest with you. I don't know if anything was off the phone, but I think his visa was for working, migrant work, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's what he was here for, for work. But, these criminals, these predators, a lot of these countries are just dumping them out. And the United States is not a dumping ground for all these third world countries and they're criminals. So we got to stop that. People here working hard, doing the right thing, do it legally, no problem. You can't have criminals coming in this country. That's insane. That's the definition of insanity. When you have, sexual predators, murderers. You put the news on every day. You hear around the country what's going on. People get murdered and killed. And it's not just, it's other countries. It's China. It's all these other countries that are coming here. Countries that hate us. The Middle East countries, that some of these radical countries out there, they hate us. They want to kill us, and they're coming in here. So we got to do everything we can to stop that, and we will. And it starts with frontline law enforcement, the men and women on the streets that are dealing with this. They're going to be the first ones to catch it, and then we bring the rest of the people in. But we got great support here. We got a great state attorney. Attorney General's been great. The governor's been great. I mean, Florida is a great state to live in because you know what? Stuff gets done, and it gets done quickly when it comes to fighting crime. Thank you.
Attorney General, I have one more question. Just because all this case was in 2024, before you took office and before President Trump took office, DeSantis and enacting these 287 G memorandums, do you think that now so many counties in Florida are enacting them that it'll help catch these illegal immigrants?
I do. We're detaining and deporting immigrants in the thousands right now. Florida's leading the way. We've got some other states that adopted our kind of blueprint for how we're operating in a coordinated fashion. We've got the best county sheriffs up and down the state. They know what they're doing. We're here to just help them where we can, fill in the gaps. But our state law enforcement, Florida Department of Law Enforcement, our troopers, everybody works together here because we've got one goal. And our goal is put bad guys away. Doesn't sound too hard. What the chief said is right. What the other side is pushing is insanity. Thankfully, we've got a federal government now that's trying to bring some sanity back, and we're going to enforce the law. And I hate to end this, but I got to run before some weather delays a flight. So maybe one more if you want.
I do have just a teeny tiny one for the state attorney.
Yep.
Very welcome.
All right, go ahead.
Just a clarifying question. You read some horrific messages earlier from the defendant's phone. You said there were texts. Were those texts sent to another person or was it search history?
It was a search history. The texts were between the victim and the defendant. And to follow up on that other question, I can tell you firsthand how I've seen the administration's use of the law properly now versus before under the previous administration. I'll tell you how. We have the Turnpike and I have I-75 running through my circuit. For the last 3.5, maybe 4 years, our office has worked with the Florida Highway Patrol and the Florida Department of Law Enforcement trying to interdict human smuggling. And very successfully interdicted, I want to say we had probably 15 or 16 people that were driving individuals in buses and vans, illegals coming all the way into Florida through the Panhandle, through I-10, down I-75, and we were picking up in Hernando County and in Sumter County. Once they would get arrested and we would charge them, there were times where we had criminal cases pending and the federal government knew we wanted to go forward, and they would snatch them out of the jail and make them unavailable and ship them off to places where we no longer had jurisdiction over them. So that's a huge difference because, as he said, the law has always been there, but now with cooperation we can we can kind of solve some of this. I think we're going to wrap it up. Thank you all for coming. Appreciate it, and great questions.